Hi guys, it's me, Just Lincoln again, and for this video that I will be dedicating to the month of Halloween, October in 2025, I shall consult my magic pumpkin bucket. See what I'm going to be doing today. Well, look like there's something good in there this time. Ta-da! What could this possibly be? It's Monsters Inc. A very good show from 2001. And it just so happened to be the only VCR tape in my collection that is blue. Coincidentally, only when they had Doug's first movie, also without the case. It was the first movie that was orange, and it was made by Nickelodeon, of course, before Disney bought the rights to it. Now, I have to ask this, did this also occur with the DVD release of this movie, as well as the sequel, prequel, Monsters University? Just curious about that. And it needs a little bit of cleaning too. So anyway, this movie's like pretty good because it comes from the bastion of goodness, hope, and childhood innocence. Disney, which in accordance with the #1 movie on Chris Noam's list, ODR, it really does form the basis for childhood identity, this company. But one thing I forgot to mention in my Pet Cemetery discussion is that even though that movie was made by Paramount, with the mountain and with the stars surrounding it and stuff for the opening image, they had to make sure to put the Disney theme for it. A movie about killing zombies and coming back from the dead. But it's actually really funny to hear the Disney theme for it. I don't know if they did it for every copy of the movie, but on the YouTube version I saw it was in there as well. So that's actually pretty funny. But begin this movie is great. It's innocent, it's all that. But before I get to the movie proper, I want to bring up the fact that back in the past, back in the 2000s-ish, there were movies and advertisements that were not afraid to spoof on other movies. In the company, of course. Case in point, this movie contains a reference to Lilo and Stitch, in which it's a good movie by itself, but it talks about how Aladdin and his soon-to-be bride Jasmine were out on a magic carpet ride, like in the song Magic Carpet Ride, and Stitch pulls over to the carpet and starts to hit on Jasmine, and then she goes with him on the carpet on his spaceship. So Aladdin's like dumbfounded and like, go get your own woman, or get your own movie or whatever. So that's very kind of funny. I miss it when Disney used to do that, when they used to parody and spoof their own stuff. Now it's much more of a Simpsons, Futurama, and Family Guy territory that they make fun of that kind of thing. Also, Rick and Morty too, of which I haven't really gotten into that much, but I'll get into it one day. So anyway, they have those guys. They also have the shorts, like the birds, the black crows. Not the black crows from Dumbo, but a different set of crows. As well as they have this other short called Mike's New Car, which they have fun with having Mike Wazowski having a big giant Macho Man monster car, which actually remind me of the Hot Wheels car that is a tow truck with 6 wheels on it. That's pretty funny. Anyway, I own the car. Not really full size, but I own the miniature, like the 164-inch car, just scale and stuff. So I own a bunch of cars that I wish I could make real by magical powers, but I can't. So in any case, this movie, Monsters Inc. There are quite a few references in this movie that are not Disney made. I'll get into them when I get to them eventually. There are 5 of them altogether. There might be more, there might be less, but yeah, that's kind of funny. I've seen my so-called adult grade and adult guys too. So that's funny. Now I've seen a bunch of other material that deals with monsters and scariness and stuff. Plus, I got my 2 favorite pocket monsters here. Gengar, whoever this guy is from Yokai Watch. So anyway, this all starts out with this kid going to bed. And you always see the boogeyman under the bed, like in Nightmare Before Christmas. The eyes glowing red. And you see a bunch of spooky imagery that you would think of when you think of like a creepy bedroom and stuff. So yeah, this is where you see the first major problem with this movie. When the monster comes out to scare the kid for energy resources and whatnot, you see that the monster is not scary. I mean, besides the fact that he trips and falls over and is very clumsy when he does so, he's not very scary. I never found creatures with hair be very scary. Like Boo said it in the later on in the main movie, played by Mary Gibbs. No doubt she was like a producer and little daughter or whatever. But yeah, I don't find hairy things scary because she referred to them as kitty, which I replied to anything that's related by Dragon Ball Z standards as kitty, the big purple kitty cat. Anyway, this another thing about something like monsters in the movie, like Mike Wazowski. Do I really need to tell you guys who plays James P. Sullivan and Mike Wazowski? Okay, Sully, as you don't, is played by John Goodman, a very big character for a very good voice actor for that role because he's a big, giant monster who has got a very deep voice, but is a big puppy dog in real life, I'm sure. And then Billy Crystal's loudmouth little wise guy, who's just so lovable too. But neither of these 2 characters are particularly scary, I don't think. I don't count the roar that Sully puts out when he's scared. Which, by the way, we did talk about something with the names in this movie, because they have they have Mike Wazowski as being called Mike in this one, which is normal. But then you have Sully as being Sullivan shortened, and that's his last name. So by rights, it should be James or James P. or something like that, But with Mike, it should be called Mr. Wazowski, or something similar to that effect. As well, the other people in the show, you call them by their name. And so anyway, and they have the guys that work for a scare factory, and the whole thing with the kid in the beginning was that it was like a test dummy so that they could show other monsters how to do a monster job of scaring kids. And then somehow this produces power for the monster kind in the monster city. So I'm gonna say that it's weird that they do that. For the monsters to kind of scare somebody, and then they are proving that laughter is a lot more potent than scaring. But how do they know? How were they able to harness that power? And second of all, is this one factory required to keep open the entire population of monsters with power? If you ask me, I think that those people kind of overworked, much like American workers, but still, would there be other plants like this around the country, around the world, etc. Now, they showed these monsters doing the scary thing, and it's also shown that certain techniques that they use for children can also be used for other monsters. Other monsters to generate less power. So would this mean that it's kind of like a kind of like interspecies type scaring power thing there? And so why couldn't you just harness the power of regular scares off of monsters? But am I thinking too much about this? But anyway, they deal with monsters that are like imaginative. They deal with like monsters that from like folklore and stuff, like Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman, Yeti, lots of monster, all that other stuff. You don't go with monsters like human beings that became monsters like Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. So he might be referred to as Mike Wazowski, might be referencing it, but it's kind of a stretch. But I know for a fact that they call one of the characters Georgie, which is a direct reference to It from Stephen King, from Stephen King's universe. That's direct reference to one. Even if that's not the name of the monster is in the first case, because in the movies, but I digress. There's also of the with the skiff war. Like other international type monsters, are there monsters in Japan, China, Germany or like Africa or any of the nations of Africa or wherever, South America and whatnot. So apparently it looks like these creatures all have access to potentially all places around the human world, like Hawaii, Alaska, Canada, etc., etc., etc. So, so they like to say that scaring people is a universal type thing. So, let's say, for example, The Grudge, which is Japanese in origin, like Godzilla, that's Japanese in origin too. They would be counted as the type of monster that's scared for power and stuff, or for the quantum energy field or whatever of screams of young kids and possibly adults in the case of Godzilla, etc., etc., etc. The reason why they don't go with like human-based monsters like Jason Voorhees, etc., is probably because this is the G-rated show. So obviously you can't have like blood, war, people hearts, that kind of thing. So anyway, is that so? They're trying to set up because they're going working on doing this, and in the process they're also earning like a skill reputation and a skill record is like the big important thing. Like I don't know what the exact number is, but I'm gonna say like 150,000 or something over the course of a career. So the big blue monster, which is not scary by the plus toys that they sell for this food alone, technically it is near the top of the game. It's actually neck and neck with this other monster, a much more scary monster played by Steve Buscemi, who looks like a chameleon / lizard of some kind. And he's got skills on his body, which is real cool of the time from the sponsor. And his name is Randall. So the big cheat of the group is named is named Mr. Warnews. I don't know his real name. Yeah. Henry J. Warnews, played by James Coburn, a very distinct voice, if you ask me, like the others. And you got Jennifer Tilly, which plays Syria, which is like a Medusa monster, but with a height. And we're talking heads, we're talking snake heads. Which is very funny, especially when she said, no, I have a hair shortened a long time ago, but now I'm thinking about cutting it again. And which is like, no, don't do that. You're gonna be headless. Now, this is a cool Easter egg, especially when you realize that she's going with Mike. Mike is gonna take her to the Harry Hazard restaurant. Now, for those who are into monsters and all that, and Greek mythology and things like that, you'll know that Ray Harryhausen is a stop motion god as far as that goes. And many of the movies he made are Jason and the Argonauts, as well as Colossal Titans back in the East. And one of the monsters they put together was Medusa, the snake body. It's such a joy to see creation like that in the movie. So I would count that as like as a reference, but you could consider it a reference. So anyway, they're in neck and neck with this guy Randall to become the scale monster and scale champion, whatever you call it. Now, Sully is very humble about it. I'm just doing my job, happy to do my job for the good of monster kind of all this other stuff too. But Randall is more of a guy, kind of turning a little bit of a jackass type character, which suits Steve's voice perfectly, I think. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. He did autograph one of my movies for me, so he's a nice guy. I'm assuming. But in the movie, he's a very sneaky, selfish guy. It's like he gives edge to everyone else. And he even, he even goes out of his way to cheat. Like someone we know in politics. But anyway, he tried to boost his numbers by scaring people when the scale floats off offline, and he does so by getting a child named Boo, unnamed except for by Sully. So the thing is that Randall actually wants to use this kid to get more power, quite literally, and he tries to kidnap the kid first. But before that, Mike and Sully stumble upon his kid's room door, which is kind of like a portal into that universe, that world, from Monster Plus, whatever it's called. So it's kind of like a program from Rick and Morty before that happened. So it's not a reference. It's more. In fact, I would think that Rick and Morty stole from that too, from that idea. So so he tried to boost the numbers on that. But it's funny that they do this because humans, especially children, are seen as like highly toxic to monsters. I don't know that got started, but it got started, and they ended up coming this idea in the form of whenever an item or something gets transmitted to the monsters from the human world, like a psycho toy or something, it's like a highly bad biohazard risk. And you see them all tackle monsters try to cleanse it, and it's like a weird it's like a military style perimeter around the thing. Kind of like what you do in E.T. or in what no, not the fly, the blob. Yeah, that really of the blob with the military tents and all the biosuits, which, to the credit, are unique for each monster type, each body, and all that. And it's really, really funny and really creative that even to the point where when Mike and Sully are on the date to the Harry's restaurant, a Japanese restaurant run by a sous chef, which is also an octopus, and that's kind of funny too. By itself, it's that when this quarantine happens, it's kind of like a little mini reference to when the White House was formed and an Independence Day. So that's kind of like a mini reference all by itself. But I'm kind of the E.T. and the blow up references one together because when they're the same. So they kind of like do that thing where they do like a hiding an alien creature, but it's a human. So they kind of beat the movie Planet 51 to the punch on that one, a reverse war, and that kind of thing. So anyway, they also employ weird stuck alien sound effect for it when they do the quantum zone, and it's so cool. It also looks like when you get the quantum disruptor in the game destroy all humans. That's pretty funny that would happen. Another horror type game you play a monster. So anyway, these things are deadly to humans, the monster kind. They're kind of dedicated, and the monsters do everything in their power to keep the human world separate from the monster world, and everything that if a monster misbehaves or whatever according to their rules, they are sent, they are exiled to the human world, like Ness, like Bigfoot, like the Abominable Snowman, which is played by Jeffrey Ratzenberger. You know, in every movie, in every Pixar movie up to a certain point, he's gotta be in it, and some kind of cameo role or something. Which the Abominable Snowman is absolutely adorable in this movie. So anyway, they do the thing here. It should also be noted that Jennifer Tilly, who voices Cecilia, is also a voice of Janet Jackie, the Bride of Chucky, which is another monster in the world. That's not a reference I'm talking about here. But I can talk about another reference. The fact that these monsters are doing work. They're doing like a office work. Some are actually doing the scaring and stuff for power and for money and stuff. So the reference there is that it's very much like Dragon Ball Z, and another anime that gentrify demons and supernatural beings. They will also do that in Yu-Yu Hakusho, among many others, like a Toledo, etc., etc., etc. So that makes 3 references altogether so far now. And then later on, when they do the thing with doors, they just swap out the doors and they go haul the doors and they keep swapping them in between them. And it will remind me of when they do in Scooby-Doo, with the disappearing in between the doors, where Scooby and the gang will go between one door and then come out the other side of the hallway, and all other random things happen. Remind me of that. So anyway, that makes 4 with So then for number 5, we have to wait a little bit. So we have everybody always thinks that these monsters are toxic and these humans are toxic and all that to mankind. Very, very bad. So the next portion involves them taking Boo and then thinking that it's gonna be a hazard to them. But the two main characters eventually grew to like the little girl. I mean, how can you not? She's adorable. She can barely say anything, and she's always giving them power and laughter and stuff. You know, whenever Mike gets injured, she laughs her little ass off. That's very funny. So, anyway, in any case, they end up disguising her and then trying to get her back to the quarantine zone and workplace, the skiff floor, back to where she belongs, which is a whole little killifish. But in any case, they use random objects in the house to disguise her up as a mini monster. And it's very funny because they're trying to keep her a secret from all the other monsters that work there. Yes, including Georgie, which would get mistaken for some kind of biohazard by getting a sucker toy or something stuck on his fur. Which they all shoot him down and they give him a nice anti-bacterial bath and all that. So it's a big deal for him. And they just pick on this one monster. So after they realize that it's not going to kill him, they end up taking him back to the skiff floor and then putting him in like a weird thing. And it's funny because she has to go to the bathroom. So Zoe's over there sitting guard while she relieves herself in the bathroom, singing a little song. And it's so funny. It's something so precious being called up by this big giant monster that's supposed to be afraid of her. Where the opposite is supposed to be true. So anyway, at one point they get separated and Boo ends up going with a bunch of little pink white monsters on like a tour of the factory. And then the little monster is mistakenly Sully thinks that that she's picked up by the trash heap, by the trash compactor, and turned into a cube of garbage. And he's very sad about that. Now, what's funny about that is that he finds out that she's okay at the end, but he's crying miserable all this and depressed all this because he sees her get crushed and he sees her getting impaled and all that stuff. So he faints and he cries and all that stuff. And what's really funny is that I remember that there was a cartoon a long time ago by Warner Brothers in which a big bulldog was watching a kitten who he thought was being beaten into a pie, and the cutted, and he did the exact same thing that Sully does. And that was over 4 years ago. Back in the 60s, I believe this cartoon came out. So it was real funny to see them replicate that to a T with a big hulking monster. And that will be number 5 on my reference list. So then, Sully is overjoyed that the little monster is, the little girl is fine. And then they go into find out that Randall wanted to kidnap her to harness human children for his own purposes of getting more power. And then bugging the system and getting more scares out of them. Much against their own will. So, it turns out that Warner News is also in on it. This big crab spider monster there was very strong too. And they tried to exile Michael so they can keep quiet once they find out about all this. Which could be a reference to something else, but I don't know what it is. So anyway, they get themselves the abominable snowman. They Michael picks up some snowballs, and slowly goes back again, trying to get Boo back from the evil Randall and Warner News. So then they do the door thing I mentioned before, and they do the try to get back and stuff, and they do the door swapping thing there, and then Warner says that I will kidnap 1,000 children before I let this girl die. No, the perfect movie for little kids that watch Disney. Seeing the bad guy talk about kidnapping them and putting his own profit over them. So, Randall ends up getting into a door and it's destroyed, going to alligator Alcatraz, if you will, by which I mean a trail park with a woman that is not afraid of monsters and actually beats the crap out of him with a broom or a shovel. To which I say, why can't you just come back to Monsteropolis by using a different door? It doesn't have to be that one. Besides, do trailers actually have doors like that? Full-size doors to closets? I don't think so. But anyway, Warner is trapped when he said that about kids in the place for this, because within the classroom where everything is being recorded for prosperity purposes, and Mike Wazowski shoots a solid with snowballs from the trip outside the world, and it's him choking and being choked by the soul. He's slowly being choked by Randall. I mean, that went invisible and it's killing him. So see, Mike on camera clutching with the snowball, and that was real cool. And when they actually put right in the door, it's actually really funny because it looks like a fun roller coaster. And I don't know if they actually did this in real life, but it would be nice to have a Disney ride based on that roller coaster, or a virtual reality roller coaster. That would be awesome. But I don't know if they did that now. And also, when they're going from door to door to door, they also have many future cameos for future projects like Ratatouille in Paris. They had the Hawaii Moana. They had I think there was something else too. Anyway, that was real fun to see that. And let's see. So then there was a heartbreaking part where it had to say goodbye to Boo. And and the number one on the person of the on the CDA, the Child Protection Agency. Remember all the people that did the child the government agency that used to put together like the quarantine zone and all that. Well, number one was Roz, somebody who is much like a slug monster like Jabba the Hutt, but only female. And it's so funny because I think that I know that the voice is done by one of the producers, a guy. I think Ray Bradbury or something like that. So that's very fun. And Roz is very funny because in the outtakes and the intakes, like the scream monsters and nobody likes to see and nobody likes to talk to, and that kind of thing. So there are two influences that I find that she remind me of. Number one, the lunch lady from the game Bully. And number two, the head lunch lady at my school. She used to work at my school. Her name was Brigida. And she reminded me of that one. Two lunch women, believe it or not. That's actually really funny. And she reminded me of Mimi Bobek from the Drew Carey show for some reason. It's like you didn't file your paperwork. Or I should say, you didn't file your paperwork. Go back to the house, or go back to the skill floor. It's like supposed to be this unaccompanied stick in the mud type character, but she does give Mike and Sully 5 minutes to say goodbye to Boo for the last time, up until the entire door is reconstructed by Mike and Sully will hide again, and you can see his press Boo again. See her growing up to a young woman. This movie's rather good. It shows the progression of kids growing up to not be scared of Randall anymore. And it's good because it shows that Sully and Mike being two characters by themselves, more of the adult figures that have to learn to let the kid go and continue on with their lives. So it's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good football movie that deals with monsters, but the innocent type of monsters, not like a bloody, gory, body count type monsters. Except Randall has no sympathy, and therefore we give him no sympathy. So anyway, I like this movie. Also, I gotta say that in the beginning of the movie, and as well as the end of the movie, they do a very nice little jazz number in the song to animate the cutscene. And then make you think that this is a traditional cartoon movie. By the end of the movie, they do I'll be nothing if I didn't have you. The song, which is more compatible with father and son relationships, or mother and daughter relationships, or sibling relationships, or whatever. And it's really quite good, quite touching. And they also have outtakes of each of the characters. It's my favorite one is probably with Roz, in which Sully goes, there's not behind this door, there's no monster behind the door, it's not in the closet. He opens it up and there's Roz saying, guess who? kind of like when Mimi Bobek was on Drew Carey when she was on The Price is Right. Now she was like, yo, guess what's behind door number 3? It's Mimi. I forgot the actor's name, but that was funny. He's so lovable, and he enjoyed character moments from the show years ago. Also, one of my other favorites is when they refer to when Randall is changing colors, random colors, and he's testing out his capabilities as a chameleon, and he changes. Number one, the background is similar to the clouds from Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 in Andy's room. And second of all, when he transformed into like a more Lisa-like type painting, and only his face isn't changed, so it's funny. So yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Well, I don't know what the name is, the Dallas on it in the beginning of the movie, because that's pretty goofy. Anyway, they have got nominated for some nights sushi or octopus. Anyway, I like the variety of monsters. I like the fact that they put on like makeup and eyeballs and front of the teeth and stuff to go scary, and that regular forms are more docile and more friendly. I also like the fact that they say that the human and kids that do adult be scared anymore. But if they were to be like a Freddy, Jason, the Blob, or even something like Super Boo, yeah, they could be more scary, even to adults, and big monsters too, and other monsters. But yeah, it turns out that some monsters are more suited for comedy, that they find out in the later, because of when Boo cries and in sadness, she produces power like you would expect. But then when she is scared, she produces power too. When she's happy and she's crying because she's happy, the crying produces like overload of power. Like it produces like a supernova worth of power. Nobody ever discovered this on their own. And most importantly of all is when Mike hurts himself in the process. So that's something special. You know, I'm glad that they don't live in the same universe as the rings of power from the DC universe, in which, you know, every emotion has its own power ring. So I could imagine it would be like love for anger, they always cover fear, happiness and hope and joy. That's what made them more powerful for. I hate to see what it'd be like for greed and etc. all down the line. But I could really like this movie. I mean, the CGI top notch, even for something like this old in 2001. So yeah, awesome. I recommend this for anybody that likes monsters, scary Disney movies, or blueberries for that matter. And blue kitties with purple spots. Yeah, I did this movie for, I thank you for watching my review of Monsters Inc. I did this for Halloween month, October 2025. I'll cover the other movie, Monster University, next year. And I enjoyed talking about this because it's what I call innocent fun for the deal with monsters. You know, big puffy monsters, like the Pokemon or Yokai Watch or something similar to that. For little kids, where skeletons, rotted corpses, meatloaf. That's more for adults. Even meatloaf today gets scared the shit out of me. Even my aunt makes it. When my mom makes it, that scary shit right there. That shit will make you cry off a mommy. So anyway, I enjoyed this video a lot. Yeah, I recommend it. And as such, I give this my happy feet silver approval. And by the way, it was really funny that when Mike Wazowski was on the magazine cover, and there's a commercial for the company that he's around monster. And meanwhile, whenever there's like an ad for him with the company, he's always covered up by kind of either a barcode or a logo. So that's really funny. And of course they have the Mike's new car, which gets destroyed at the end, and by him putting it into the wrong gear and drive, and then flinging it into a wall or something. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll take because it's kind of cool and kind of funny little extras. I'm sure that the people who made them will pay the instance more with. And yeah, this is a fun movie to watch. So yeah, if you guys like what you see here and want to see more of my videos and such, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. And also, contact me for future information on my future videos by calling or texting me at 631-707-3707, or you can follow me on Twitter or X if you prefer to call it that at PMelsonPro. And also you can get my email at jjsviewingchannel@gmail.com. So I recommend this movie to anyone like Disney movies, scary movies, spooky movies, or monsters in general. With the creativity there, everything else. I recommend that when this movie came out for Halloween, that kids and adults alike would dress up with characters, monsters, and just make them their own stuff as they go along. I think I assume anyone that likes this stuff. Peace out, my brothers and sisters. I'll see you in the next video. All you girls and guys in Interland. And by the way, I didn't forget about when they substituted Rex in Monsteropolis for the big tall monster. That was a good little cameo. It was an Easter egg. So that's all for now, guys. Sayonara. I'll see all you girls and guys in Interland in the next video.